I'm going to be real straight up with you. And this one's easy for me to say, I guess, because I'm going to couch it with, I'm always wrong with timing. But everybody knows this one is coming. But I believe in my lifetime, and I think within the next 15 years, I think these are the beginnings of the days that have been foretold. I believe that we could see the days of tribulation in the next 5 years. I obviously don't know. People have been planning or some of them have been looking forward to these days for 3,000 years. But evil is washing over the world right now. And it is not going to help anything. And you will not, I believe, we will not be counted as helpers, if you will, if we are engaging in violence. That is different than protecting your family, your home. But if you're thinking, and I don't believe you are, but for those who are thinking about, I'm going to get a group together, that is not the way to go. I urge you to go with a group of people, and first thing you say is, we're not talking about a militia. We are talking about supporting you. I want you to go to your sheriff, and I want you to let them know that you support them. If they are a sheriff that understands that they are the last wall of defense between government that is out of control and the people. They don't answer to the governor. They don't answer to the mayors. They don't answer to anyone except the people that put them in office. I want you to meet and know who your sheriff is and go there peacefully, because they are probably all keyed up in some places. But you support your sheriffs. If you are looking at an election where a sheriff is up for re-election, that may be the second most important vote that you make. Know who you're voting for. Know who the sheriff is. The Fortitude Ranch camps in West Virginia and Colorado are opening November 3rd to protect members. This is according to the outlet, citing the company's October newsletter. In addition, Fortitude Ranch expects possible looting and violence that could turn into clashes that spread far and wide and last a long time. That's whether Donald Trump or Joe Biden wins the election. This is the first time they have opened the Fortitude Ranch for a collapse disaster. And they say, though it may not end up being so, we consider the risk of violence that could escalate in irrational, unpredictable ways into widespread loss of law and order, and we feel that it is real. This is a camp where for $1,000 you can go to these camps as a refuge in the event of a societal collapse. This is the first time they're opening it for that, and they're opening it November 3rd. You have about 3 weeks to prepare for insanity, and it may not happen, and I pray it doesn't happen. But I can't recommend highly enough that you prepare food storage, that you prepare your home to be secure, that you have met with your family and your children and you know where you're supposed to meet if there's a problem. You prepare financially. And then you've got to do your homework and prepare educationally. Do you have a physical copy of the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence? You need that. Are you prepared spiritually? Do you have a relationship good enough? As I told you 15 years ago, there's going to come a time when you're going to need that communication between you and the Spirit so strong that if the Spirit says, stop, don't go there, turn around, that you do it. Please, if you haven't started working on that, do it. Ask for advice and obey the advice. The voice will get stronger in you. You also have to prepare mentally. We are going to be leaving things behind us. I mean that historically. I think things are going to change. Don't pine for the good old days. Look forward to the future. It brings me no joy telling you these things. But they are serious. The left is serious. There are people that want you to be afraid and will control you. My daughter has asked me over and over again, Dad, what does societal collapse mean? What does it look like? The Walking Dead without the zombies. If society collapses, there will be militias and gangs, and they will not be usually for the Constitution. Remember, white supremacists and these militia gangs like they had up in Michigan, they don't agree with America. Now, they may say they're for the Constitution, but you can't be for the Constitution and anarchy and Black Lives Matter. You just can't. Know exactly who you're standing with. I don't recommend that you get into any of these things, and it is going to be seductive if there is great societal collapse. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be widespread unrest, but I don't think societal collapse is coming. Thank God. And anybody who says, we just got to burn the whole thing down and really mean burn the whole thing down, I want you to know that when you get rid of the police and you get rid of society, it's not like this. It will break into groups and gangs, and if you are in the wrong place at the wrong time, you will be controlled by whoever, and there's no help coming. That's what societal collapse looks like. And there are those that want it. Now, there is a new story out today that I don't believe the numbers, but it's from Reason, and I think it's worth reading. It is, Are Americans Provoking Each Other into Political Violence? The proportion of Americans believing that it is at least somewhat justifiable for their political party to use violence to achieve its goals has risen from fewer than 1 in 3 years ago to 1 in 3 now, according to the polls. Meanwhile, predictions abound of disruptions around the election and fighting in the years to come. After months of social unrest and with the country's political factions intent on mutual destruction, the U.S. looks at risk becoming a failing democracy, which disputes are settled in the streets. God help us. So if this happens, if we become a failing democracy, our dollar is no longer the world reserve currency, and it becomes worthless. These things could happen overnight. Like a growing number of prominent American leaders and scholars, we are increasingly anxious that this country is headed towards the worst post-election crisis in a century and a half. That puts you at the Civil War. Larry Diamond of the Hoover Institute said. Lee Duttman of New America, Todd Lindbergh of the Hudson Institute, Nathan P. Calmore of Louisiana State University, Lillian Mason of the University of Maryland. They penned a piece in Politico. Our biggest concern is that a disputed presidential election, especially if there are close contests in a few swing states, or if one candidate denounces the legitimacy of the process, it could generate violence and bloodshed. Drawing on polling data, the authors point support for the use of violence to achieve political goals has risen from 8% for both Democrats and Republicans to 33 and 36%. In September, 44% of Republicans, 41% of Democrats said there would be at least a little justification for violence if the other's party nominee wins the election. An former Australian Special Forces officer and Bush Jr. administration counterterrorism advisor warned America may be in what the CIA Guide to the Analysis of Insurgency calls incipient insurgency. People don't know that it only takes 2 to 5% of a population to want to engage in violence and civil wars. It's only 2 to 5% that actually commit the violence, but that is all it takes. You are seeing the violence now coming from the left. You are going to see a concerted effort to do that. Notice how the media is already softening the ground. They're calling all violence from the right. It's not. It's coming from the left. They're already starting to soften the ground. They're already starting to. The New York Times Daily did a report today and talked to a leader, or was it NPR? Talked to a leader at the Pentagon. And they're already talking about which way will the military go. The military is now going through classes on the Constitution. These things may come. We are 3 weeks away. As Keith Olbermann said, it's not just election night. As he said, quote, that is just the beginning.